Welcome back, everybody. This is episode unknown 32. We got a special guest today. This is a new experiment for all of us, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. There was a little technical difficulties, but it should still be pretty good. Kind of trial and error, but after today, we realized that it went really smooth having a guest, so we want to try to venture into that. So we'll be reaching out to some people. And anybody that does want to get on, and it could be, we did this one via Zoom, so if you want to do Zoom or something else, speakerphone, whatever it may be, send us a message, let us know, because we're going to be reaching out to some people to see if it's something they want to partake in. And we researched it, and it's going to be a lot better if you hit that like and subscribe button. So tune in, check it out. It's definitely it's a good episode. You don't want to miss it. So thanks again for all the support. Can you tell who's who?
No, I can tell. I was watching you guys, one of you guys in the show yesterday, and I figured one of you guys say goatee on the other one doesn't. So now I can tell the difference.
Have you been? Did you check out the podcast page and kind of some of the stuff that we've been doing, like the runs and all that stuff?
Yeah, I was checking it out last night. I was checking out you guys' what is it called? Your page. You guys do a lot of running, man.
Yeah, gotta stay fit, man. We try to.
You gotta leave, man. I've been running that much since the Marine Corps, dude.
I was in your neck of the woods last week. I went to LiDAR radar training in Palm Desert.
Oh wow, yes. Oh LiDAR. Oh yeah. How did you like that class?
It was cool. It was there was a lot of class work compared to what the actual device is, because it's very easy using it, but it's all the legality behind it, the court testimony, all those things. So
exactly. Yeah, I took it a few years back, and I can't even tell you what the class was really about, but I know I can use it.
yeah, that the Marietta PD, is it near Corona or was it far away?
It's about 30 minutes from Corona.
Oh, okay.
30 minutes south of Corona. So it's like right off of the 15.
And how long have you been there?
It was about 30 minutes. What's that?
How long have you been there, you said?
I've been Marietta for 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I spent about 6 years in Chula Vista, and then post pandemic, right around end of 2020, I was like, oh man, I need to make the change. It really was the housing that brought us here. My wife loved this area. We used to live in Temecula when we were both in the Marine Corps actually. And we moved to Chula Vista, San Diego area because I got hired there right after leaving the Marine Corps, and then we decided we're like, man, the houses here were just like, we just sold one of our houses in San Diego, and the houses here were like, we get so much bang for your buck, So we're just like, nah, let's try it again. So I actually moved here about July 2020, and then we started doing the commute all the way from here to Chula Vista, about like hours of change. And I was like, I did that for like 3 months, and I was like, no, thank you. It's too much.
And I was giving my brother a little bit of background, and because one of the things was when we started talking, when me and my brother started doing the podcast, like one thing that was an idea was talking to people from different areas, military, law enforcement, different walks of life. Yeah, how they got where they were at. Like one guy I met from Palm Desert, he was from New York and grew up in the Bronx, everything, and maybe like a few years ago, because he worked for Delta, he was a flight attendant. He ended up in San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, he ended up in San Diego. He applied there during COVID, and they were one of the only departments hiring during that time. So they accepted him. They wanted him. So he up and moved from the Bronx, from New York, all the way to San Diego. And he actually lives in Chula Vista right in that area. He's pretty cool. We're gonna try to get him on in a few weeks. But growing up, how was it? How was it where you grew up and like kind of like your upbringing and all that from now?
Yeah, so I grew up in Ghana, West Africa. Um, so growing up was like very, very different from, from what you would think of not only the United States growing up here, but even what like people like think about how growing up is in Africa, right? It's very like it's a third world country, obviously, and it's very simple, right? Basically, you are growing up like your family is all that you have, and my mom lived with her parents, who lived with their parents, and it's just like same house passed down, right? And it's not as it's crazy because it's like it's so different. Like the things that we hold near and dear, like we need to have like a house and like a whole bunch of roofs for our kids. So it's just like nah, dude. Like all the kids are sleeping in under one roof, one bedroom, and the grown-ups are doing their thing. And I'm like, I was thinking about it to myself. I'm like, what did I even do as a kid? Like all I did was basically wake up, go to school, get out of school, and play until like the lights went down and then go right back out sleep and you start all over again. So it was I feel like it was a very simple life where, you don't see all this. Like over here, it's very complicated. There's so much you can do. Over there, like I literally, all I could do was, maybe going out and playing soccer with my friends and, or just hanging out in the neighborhood and just walking around throwing stones at birds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a very simple lifestyle compared to what we have here and what like I'm dealing with my kids right now. Right? I just today's my one of my daughter's 10th birthday.
Oh, nice.
And we went to Disney on Friday, and then
I love that place.
did all those rides and enjoyed all that stuff, and then we came back home Saturday. We threw our birthday with our family and friends, and we relaxed a little bit yesterday. Today's our actual birthday, and now we're gonna go to lunch, and then we're gonna go take her to the movies. I was like, that's a lot, dude. Like,
Yeah.
but my birthday back in the day, I just like we just had like a meal and we got happy birthday saying to you, and you might have gotten a birthday, and the highlight of the birthday was we had a soda. Like you had a lot of meaningful food and you had some soda, and that was it. And here I am, like 3 minutes later, just like still throwing her birthday for a whole week.
Yeah, and it was. I know we're both from like different places, but it sounds very familiar, kind of upbringing with us. Very poor family, but you kind of just did what you did. You survived off the land, and what you had is what you had. The way Hollywood or the movies depict Africa, would you say that's accurate to when we watch it?
Oh, absolutely not, dude. It is, it is so different, man. And it's changed from when I was a kid. When I came here, when I was 14 years old. So now I'm 37 years old. It's changed a lot. But even back then, right? Back in 2000, when I moved here, I got here and like most of my friends were like, "Oh man," like because I moved to Delaware, which Delaware is pretty. Um, I think Delaware has both. A lot of blacks, a lot of whites, not too many Hispanics, but they were mixed up. And when I got there, I was like, you know what, man, that was the first time I've seen so many white people. So it was different for them just as much as it was different from me. And then even the black people that I met, I didn't understand them. You know what I mean? It was so different. So I understand that they didn't know. So I think that's why I was like, you know what? I don't even understand their culture. So I didn't let it get to me when they didn't understand my culture because they asked me questions like, because most of the stuff they knew about Africa was the stuff they watch on, National Geographic and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
So they're like asking me questions like, oh man, that's crazy. Like, so did you ever like run into a lion? Like, how did you like protect yourself from like a wildlife there? And I was like, dude, the only time I ever saw lions was when I went to the zoo. Like,
Shit.
I'm like, they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, so you had a house? I'm like, yeah, like house made in like brick. So like it's actually not stronger than the houses you guys have here. It's not as fancy, but
Yeah.
it's much stronger, dude. And everything, there's not like most of the stuff that they had seen about Africa was, like the Saharan desert and, Serengeti, like lions, elephants, right? And I told him, I'm like, dude, it's very different now. Like, I wore, like, I didn't wear the dashiki. Like, I'm like, I wore, like, normal shorts and, shirts. Like, I listen to Jay-Z. I like it. They're like, well, you know who Jay-Z is? I'm like, everybody knows who Jay-Z is. Like, what are you talking about? That's my favorite artist. So exactly the way things are portrayed about Africa is very different. And even now, right? Like, you talk to people about Africa and they're thinking about Muhammad.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Wakanda, right? Like, Wakanda is not a fucking country in Africa. There's no countries in Africa that look remotely anything like Wakanda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, the way Hollywood portrays Africa is so different. But there has been lately there has been some movies on Netflix because Netflix has been doing movies and it's about different countries, like right. And I've seen some South African like movies on Netflix, and those are pretty like okay, yeah, man, this is kind of like they're actually showing Africa in these movies, actual Africa, in
Yeah.
South Africa. So they're starting. If you but most people don't watch those kinds of movies. So the ones that Hollywood is actually promoting and showing us like they're very, they're not definitely they don't show the actual representation of what actual life is in Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My buddy, he was when I was in the army, Sergeant Blake, he was a black guy, and he said he went to Africa when there was an outbreak. I forget what it was, but he said when he was walking around that the actual African people from there, they kind of didn't like him. They were smirking at him. They just didn't like him being there. Is that something that you know about? Like why they don't like American black people?
Was he? He was Black American.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's been the opposite for me. So I have heard that. So it is something that comes up a lot between Africans and African Americans, right? Um, I'm an African American right now, but like I'm from Africa. I came here. I lived in Africa, right? And
Hmm.
obviously, moving here, I found out that hey, like there's this disparity between Africans and African Americans. But before I moved here, living in Ghana, it wasn't. That's not what I knew. I knew that relationship as like, oh man, that's one of ours. Like that's our own people. Like,
Yeah.
and we have, you know, but in Ghana, like whenever we would see African Americans, like, oh, it was like, oh, welcome home. Like that's great. Like, do you know like exactly like where you're from? Are you from Ghana? Are you from Nigeria? Are you from Senegal? Like, do you know? And like as time went on, I started to figure out, no, like, actually, no, they don't. Most African Americans don't know exactly which country they're from. Once I moved here and learned the history behind it, I'm like, yeah, there's no way most of them are gonna know where they're from.
Yeah.
But back when I was in Africa, it was like, yo, welcome home. We wanted African Americans to come to Ghana. We wanted them to like come learn about their actual heritage, their culture. But then once I moved here, it was the opposite. It was like now there's like it's a little bit of beef between Africans and African Americans. Like I didn't understand it because I was young, what it means. So I was like, why is there this beef? I remember driving in New York, which I don't recommend for anybody. And my mom was driving, and we got in Delaware, which like there's barely any traffic, and you go to New York, it's like crazy. And as my mom was driving, she was cut off by this taxi driver, and he leaves his head out and he screams, go back home, the African Bambada. And I'm like, what is that? And my mom was like, oh yeah, they don't like us around here because of the way we are. Like the things we make them feel like at that time she's like, we take jobs that they won't take. We are a lot more humble because we didn't have the upbringing that they did. So Africans coming here from Africa, well, I kind of like compare it to like Mexicans, right? I feel like Mexicans coming from Mexico are like super hardworking. They'll take any job. Like you don't have to like they're fucking hardworking, right? So
Yeah.
Africans like we are coming from another place, right? And what we have there doesn't even compare to what you guys have here. And we're like, we'll take anything. Like, we'll do this and you pay us money. I don't care what the hell it is. Like, so I think it's kind of like that as well, right? And that's why we don't get along. But hearing from that, maybe that's why, like, but maybe he's got that, he's had that, like, kind of like interaction before in the past. And that's what he expected to have over there. But, like, from what I know, Africans want African Americans in Africa. Like they're like just like even just white people. Like it's new people that we don't like that we don't know about that we hear about. But everything that we hear about African Americans or white people are like luxurious. Like
Yeah.
America is like it's so cool that you're from America. Like I'm gonna like, who are you? Like, you see a lot of kids in Africa, they see foreigners, they want to touch them. They're like, hey, like, you're kind of like me. You got your skin like me, but you're from America. Or like white people, like, it's even worse for white people. White people, I feel bad for them when they're in Africa. Like, you got kids pulling on your hair, like, your hair is different from mine. Like,
Yeah.
they really tell.
Yeah.
But it's just a difference, right? They don't know. Like, usually, it's like, they want to know, like, foreigners and unless they've had like a bad experience with like foreigners or one foreigner coming into the village or their place and like doing something bad, and that's what they think about them now.
And Kofi, when you were over there, how old were you when you decided you thought you know what, I want to go to the military, and how did you pick the Marines of all the branches?
Yeah, so growing up, my dad was in the military, was in the army in Ghana. So military has always been something that I have respected, and I've always loved the military. So when I moved here, I went to school, went to high school. Got out. My mom wanted me to go to college, become a businessman. Like make money. But I went to after high school. I went to college at business school in Delaware, Bowie Beacon College, and I played a little bit of soccer. But like we didn't have that much money. So she wanted me to go to college, do all these things, get a degree. And after the first year, you get everything to pay for it. So I took that up to my, I'm like, hey, mom, look, I'm trying to go away, man. I need to try it my way. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, what's your way? I'm like, I want to join the military. And she's like, nah, you're my only son. You can't join the military, you know? And at that point, around that time, she's married to my ex stepfather, and they ended up having the kid. So as soon as like my brother was like she was pregnant with my brother, I was like, hey, guess what? Like I won't be the only son anymore, you know. So I'm gonna join the military. So I actually went in and talked to the Marine Corps recruiter. I just picked the Marine Corps just because, like, back then they were like, oh, this is hard. Like, the Marine Corps is like the hardest branch ever to join. And I'm like, all right, bet. So let's go. Like, challenge accepted, right? So I just talked to the Marine Corps recruiter. It's funny. The funny story. A couple of weeks before I talked to the Marine Corps recruiter, I had gone to Vegas with my friends, and one of my friends got chicken pox
Oh
when he
shit.
got back home. So I had emailed him, and he's like, "Yo, let's meet up." And I'm like, "Nah, bro. Like, I just found out I got chicken pox, man. I can't meet up with you." He's like, "Yo, I don't fucking care. Like, I got a bullet, and I already got my chicken pox already. So let's meet up." So I met this recruiter. I still had chicken pox, dude. He's like, let's go. You got five guys right across your house. I'll meet you out there. So I meet up with him, and he's like, "You what are you looking for?" I was like, "Dude, I'm ready to just like send me." Like, he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Send me as fast as you can. Like, let's do this." And boom, he fucking drew everything up, and off I went to the Marine Corps, you know, and I literally left the Marine Corps in November 2007. My brother was born October 2007. So a month later, I was shipped out to Paris Island, and I was like, I didn't really know much about the military here. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what boot camp was going to be like. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I got sent out to Paris Island, and the rest is history, man. From Paris Island, I got stationed in Camp Pendleton, and that's how I ended up in California.
Sure. And for the Marines for boot camp, what would you say like because I know with my brother basic there's some stories where it got a little rough, but for boot camp for the Marines, what would you say the hardest part about it was for you?
So, man, boot camp, yeah. For me, the hardest part, because I think the hardest part was actually shooting. So I've never touched a gun in my life. Like in Ghana, like there's no guns. Like there's guns, but like as regular people don't have guns. Like police officers and the military have guns. Like everybody else, you're not allowed to have guns. So guns were never like in the back of my mind. So when I moved here, same thing. Like it's just me and my mom. A lady from Africa. She doesn't know anything about guns. She will never like put one of them in their house. So for me, that was the hardest thing. And I kind of went to boot camp a little bit out of shape. Um, but I'm an athlete. I ran track throughout high school and I played soccer, so I was a little bit overweight. I went into boot camp at 190 pounds, and I came out of boot camp at 150 pounds.
God damn.
So, but the biggest thing for me was the shooting because I wasn't a shooter and I never held a gun and but everything else for me was easy because boot camp was all about like discipline and growing up in Africa, it's all about discipline. It's like you are the kid, and the whole village is raising you. You do anything wrong, like your neighbor is going to be slapping you outside the face, and then you'll let your mom know that hey, I saw your son being a little knucklehead. And then your mom beats you up, and then your uncle comes, and it's like, wait, I told the neighbor told you were doing this and that. So it was very like like your elders and you respect them and you like discipline, like respect is like you have that's the only way you want to be successful, that's what it's all about. So I have a lot of discipline in me, and so going boot camp, that aspect was like super easy. All right, you want to tell me what I need to do? That I understand. I'm like, you're the drill instructor. You tell me what my day is supposed to be, and I will listen. I don't care what you tell me to do. I don't care. I didn't even know like what like I knew what hazing was, but I'm like, all right, well, that's when it's supposed to happen here. Like, I don't care. Like, tell me what to do, and I'll do it. You know, so it was that aspect of it was easy for me. And once we got to like training and stuff like that. I lost a whole bunch of it, and I was back to my running ways, and I enjoyed it. And it's funny, one of my drill instructors used to be like, "Hey, um, when I say something from now on, I think it was like phase two. From now on, I don't want you to answer me in English. I want you to answer me in truth in your language in Ghana. So when you say yes, sir, I don't want you to say yes, sir. I want you to say it in truth." And I'm like, I don't even know how to say sir in truth. It's sir, it's in truth, sir. It's like, all right, well, I'll just say yes, yes, please. You feel me up? So he's like, hey, I can get over here. I'm like, Mipacho, yo. Like, what the hell was that? I'm like, I was saying it in truth, sir. You told me to say it. He's like, okay, that's what I want you to say from now on, right? Whereas other people will get offended with it, right? I'm like, hey, he's the drill instructor. He told me to speak in trees. I'm speaking in trees, and he loved that, because it didn't matter what he told me to do, I was gonna do it. I wasn't gonna question anything, and that's what I think we can figure like fairly easy for me.
Is that the main language spoken where you were from? Because I was in basic with the guy. He was from West Africa, and he only spoke French.
Mm-hmm. So in West Africa, it's funny because West Africa that was colonized by the British and also by the French, and right, we colonized by a bunch of. So there's countries like Togo, Benin, right near Ghana that were colonized by the French, and so they speak French, and then Ghana was colonized by the British, and we speak English, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's depending on what country you go in West Africa. Most of the time, people are either speak in English or people are going to speak in French. And I spoke with French growing up because the countries near us, around us, Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, they were all French-speaking countries in West Africa. So yeah, it's different. It depends what country you go to.
And did you after you went to boot camp, did you get deployed anywhere, or were you just stationed somewhere?
Yeah, so I was stationed, like in my first station, I got stationed in Camp Hamilton. So I was at Hamilton for about 3 years. I was blessed enough to joined the Marine Corps soccer team. So I played soccer for a couple of months where I played for the Marine Corps soccer team and then played for the All Out Forces soccer team. Everybody was hating on me, like, hey, this is your job right now to play soccer. I was like, hey, don't hit the player. So yeah, right after I got back from playing with the Armed Forces team, I got put on the team to go to Iraq. And a couple of months later, that got canceled. Like, no, mommy, we're not going to Iraq. We're going to be going to Afghanistan. This was back in 2010, early 2010. So it's like right when we actually got into Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, and Persia and stuff like that, right? So I actually got deployed March 2010 to Afghanistan, and my main base was Lebanon. But I'm a disperser, so I'm a finance guy in the Marine Corps, and so everything finance. I'm like, all right, good. I'm going to Afghanistan. I'm going to be staying in Camp Lebanon. I heard it's like the biggest base, one of the biggest bases. I mean, the Marine Corps base in Afghanistan, so it's going to be pretty chill. Now, I found out real quick after this first year, we are all over the place. We're traveling. I traveled all around Afghanistan. So my main job was basically, I'm the money guy. So I was walking around with with a backpack with $100,000 in it, and I was going from base to base, pocket fob,
Yeah.
either paying locals or paying military members like or even army. I know you guys have dispersions over there too, right? If you like while they're out, we were out there, they were allowed to military members were allowed to pull out money out of their paycheck. And when I was there, the highest money put out out of the paycheck was $200 every paycheck. So we would go from base to base and we'll afford Marines, Navy, Army, all military branches the opportunity to pull out money. So because of that, because then we would also roll out for the west side of with everybody. So now we'll bring the mail, we'll bring the PX so they can buy like anything from like essentials like sugar sticks and stuff like that, all the way to like cookies and like snacks and stuff like that. So because of that, I got to travel all around Afghanistan like this, like with the briefcase or and my backpack with a shitload of U.S. dollars and Afghan money. So that actually was. I had a blast in Afghanistan because I got to travel a lot, meet a lot of people, and it wasn't like I was in the office the whole time. It was just like I was humping it day in and day out, and I ended up actually staying there for a whole year. So I was supposed to be there for 6 months, and I was like, yeah, you guys got one more. Like, you want to extend people out here? I'll stay. And I was on Afghanistan for 1 year.
And then when you when you got out of there, how was the transition over to law enforcement? How'd you make that decision?
So yeah, once I got back from Afghanistan, I moved to San Diego, NCID San Diego, to the finance office over there. And I was there for a couple of years. My wife and I met in the Marine Corps, and we started having kids. So we had we had two kids, two girls, and we were both at NCID San Diego for a while. And then she moved out to Pendleton again. So we got separated, but still, we had kids and we lived in Temecula. It was tough. But we knew like that's my time. I've been in for 7 years, and it was time for me to get older again. But I had to, and also it was time for me to actually decide what I was going to do with my career, what I was going to go recruiting, or what I was going to go drill instructor. Being in San Diego, HRD was like, that was the drill instructor because my buddies were wanting, but I saw what they did. I saw how hard, being a drill instructor was the thing, it was just, they just put their body through so much. And so my mom was like, if they didn't do a recruiter, I'm like, oh, I really right. I went back to me. And so we started talking, and it was just like, well, look, we have two kids. Like, you're about to either get sent away, and then actually before you get back, I'm getting sent away. Like, you need to like make a decision. We love it here in California, and we both decided to get out. We're like, all right, let's get out and find something to do here because we love California so much. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do? Like, I love the military. Like, I love this lifestyle. And I'm like, well, you know what? Very cool to see being in the military as a police officer, right? So as soon as I literally noted those words out, and my wife took off with it. She's like, the next day, she's like finding me like, she's like, oh hey, Riverside Sheriff is hired, and by the way, like you can go to since you're still in the Marine Corps, you can go to like an academy, it's a part-time academy. So she like did so much. I was like, damn, dude, like you really ready for me to get out, huh? So I ended up putting myself to through the Southwestern College Police Academy while I was still in the Marine Corps. So I was going basically at night, like 3 times during the week, nighttime like 6 o'clock to 10 p.m. And then the weekends on Saturday it was like a full 10-hour day morning, so like I think it was like 7 o'clock to like 4 or 5. So I was still in the Marine Corps, so it actually worked out for me because I ended up using my benefits. Like that was actually I didn't have to tap into my benefits. I was just using the Marine Corps money to go to school to go to the 2000. So it worked out very well for me. I finished. My last year I was basically a sergeant in the Marines, fucking helping out with my Marines, like developing them, teaching them what to do, and then like at night time I was a fucking a recruit at the police academy. So it was a busy time.
From a sergeant to a boot, huh?
And was everyone? It was a very demanding time, but it's all been worth it because right after I got out there, they were like, "Hey, look, you're a Marine, and you know what? Like, it's not gonna be as hard for you. It's not gonna be like boot camp here." But I was trying like to act like we were getting seated. I was like, "Hey man, you guys are the boss, and you tell me what to do. I can enjoy it." Once again, it's all about discipline for me, so they love that about me. So as soon as like we got done, right before we got done, I got a job offer from University Department because one of my training officers was from Chile. And he's like, "Hey, well, we gotta get you out to Chile, man." Because I kind of wanted to come back down here because down here I was looking at Corona, I was looking at Riverside Sheriffs, but then he's like, "Dude, we want you here. I can guarantee you, like, we will hire you." I'm like, "You can't guarantee that, dude." He's like, "Yes, I can." Like, put in for it, and I put in for Chula Vista, and I got it. So I ended up staying. I ended up actually moving to San Diego. That way we can be closer to my job at Chula Vista.
Nice. On that, we're coming up to an end on the Zoom recording, but hey, Kofi, man, I want to thank you, man, for coming on. You're our first guest on the podcast.